great characters. Ezio has been in a bunch of games. Altair has been referenced a million times. And then there is one character from the past who keeps coming back. And that's Reda. What is Reda? Who is Reda? Why is Reda? I want to talk about this and more in this episode. I'm Darkstrider, the YouTube Assassin. Let's get our Reda on. So about 3 years ago, amongst my glitch videos and God videos for Assassin's Creed Origins, I did a video about Reda. I was actually really curious about this guy. I mean, he wanders the desert alone. Supposedly his family was attacked by Phylakitai and murdered, and for some reason he was left alone. But he survived. He ended up just leaving with his camel, becoming a weapons dealer, having a whole bunch of these wares, and just going from town to town, opening up his bazaar, and selling you things. Along with that, it also gave you the daily quests that they have. You were able to do things on the daily, and every day you had a chance to actually obtain a legendary item, and then also XP and some drachmi. And it was actually a really cool system. It was pretty cool because you could go and you could obtain all kinds of stuff for free. Or you could come over here and you could buy a Heka chest and basically just take a risk at obtaining a legendary item or even a regular epic item. So it was just you taking a chance. Now, back then, there were no restrictions. You could basically get the same item 2 or 3 times, 4 times, etc. You know, they really had no limit to it, unlike Odyssey, where that started the whole thing where you go in and you only get the item once. And it would be the level that you are now, and you could upgrade it. In this game, not only was it the level that you were, you had a chance of upgrading it or even getting the same item at your current level, or even duplicates, like right here. You see that this is a duplicate. Anyway, I thought that Reda was curious just because of the fact that he was all alone. He was all by himself. He obviously had some kind of connections for all these weapons and whatnot. And I figured he's got to be immortal. And a couple of different things didn't sit well with me, which made me believe he was immortal. Now, the most common tied together was the timeline of the DLCs. You start off in Egypt, it's 300 BC, and then when you get to Sinai, it's about 4 years after the events that close in Egypt when you defeat the final boss. Then from Sinai, the Valley of the Kings, this DLC, happened 6 years later. So you're looking at a 10-year gap, and in all 10 years, Reda stayed the same age. Now, one of the other factors, just in case you're like, oh, but it was lazy programming. They didn't want to program an older Reda. What I got to say is that from Egypt all the way to the Valley of the Kings, you actually get other characters who are older. There's a character named Ezio, not Ezio, Esiocles. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that name. He grows up and he's some kind of thief or something. And then there's also the son of the Scarab who you battle as one of the old school Templars, the Order. When you defeat him, his son is a child, even younger than Reda. When you get to the Valley of the Kings, he's an adult. or at least a teenager, like 18 or something like that. So why did everybody else age except for Reda? That's really, really unusual. Reaching for who knows what. You know, he's just a kid. He has bodyguards. That's how he survived on its own. What, are you crazy? Why on earth would he be immortal? But I gave a lot of examples of his immortality and a bunch of examples as to why and how he could be immortal. I'll even link that in the comments below so that you guys can watch that video for yourself. But I'm absolutely justified in my thinking here in Valhalla because here he is once again. He hasn't aged a bit. He's still himself. He's still sitting on the rug. I mean, obviously the rug is not the same, but look at him. It's him. Just a different hairstyle. Created a whole cult of the Thousand Eyes. Like, what the heck is going on? How did he get a bunch of kids, by the way, to join this cult?
What do you have today?
And still, he sells all kinds of things. He sells all kinds of legendary items that you can get. No Heka chests anymore, but actual things that, you know, you may find useful if you have the opals, which replaces the ore that we had in Odyssey. He's got items that are daily, and then he has items that are weekly. So this is actually kind of crazy. On top of that, he can give you contracts to murder or anything like that, depending on his needs. Now, I did them all, that's why they're not shown. But for each section that you open up, it looks like you get one. So far, I had 2, and I did them for today. As it goes on, it looks like there's more.
Reda, what is it you do here?
What don't I do here? You're looking at a man of boundless skill and talent. I sell the finest and rarest items in the world. So rare that I have never held on to any one object for longer than a few days.
Yet you only deal in opal. Is there so much to be found in England?
Only in opal, yes. But that I can offer too. For England is not a fount of such rainbow stones. My guild, the Thousand Eyes, offers contracts that pay in opal. If you're interested, I always have 1 or 2 open.
How in the heck did he do this? How did he survive for so long? And mind you, the events in Origins happened in 300 BC. Right now, the events of Valhalla, 873 AD. You are looking at a child who is almost 1,200 years old. How is that possible? In each town, he has a child that kind of dresses like him and has the same kind of ability to give quests in his place. They offer the same quests, but they don't offer any goods. Only Reda offers goods. Now, I don't think that any of these children have the same affliction or ability as Reda. I think that he just hired these kids because who's paying attention to a kid? That's when you've got the Thousand Eyes. You've got kids playing and running around, and you don't even realize that they're really spying on you. That's pretty brilliant. Only Reda is almost 1,200 years old. Again, how is that possible? Of course, we do know that there are certain pieces of Eden, artifacts left behind by the Isu, that can grant immortality. We learned that in Assassin's Creed Odyssey with Cassandra. Another person who lived to be, I mean, thousands of years old by the time we run into her. She really lived even longer than Reda. So why didn't they cross paths? That's probably a tale for another time. There are also sages in the Assassin's Creed universe, which are people who pretty much live darn near forever, unless you physically kill them. And they basically have seen like a lot of stuff. They're kind of touched by the ancients, by the Isu. So it's possible that he could even be that. What is he exactly?
Greetings.
There are so many questions and not enough answers. Now, to tell the truth, I'm really not anywhere near the end of the game, and I'd love to see if there are more missions and things that explore Reda and his special ability to live for so long. I really would love to see how he handled Bayek and how he closed in Origins. What did he do after that? He obviously came out, he formed like some little mini assassin group, which they kind of look like child assassins or something. And he created this group and, you know, obviously as a spy network, he's not helping the assassins. And in all honesty, I haven't seen the assassins, which he's right next to their shop. They don't say nothing about him. They don't know nothing about him. How is that? He was so close to the person who created their creed. It's absolutely amazing. There are a ton of questions. But I want to know what you think. Do you think that this is just some like great whatever grandchild of Reda's named Reda? Do you think that Reda's a time traveler? Because I know a couple of people have said that in comments. I'd love to hear from you. Let's get this discussion going. Also, I'm going to put a link to the video below that I did 3 years ago in response to my curiosity about Reda. Was I right? Am I psychic? Do I know Ubisoft's every move? Or is Ubisoft just taking things that I create and using them in their video games? I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out an awful lot. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. And until the next one, take care, be good, and I wish you all long life like Reda here.